Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Oh, yeah, new schoolers. We doing it again. It's Wednesday night. We giving flowers. Jossi Wells tonight. How we do it? Calling Casabon first. Gonna pin some stuff, play some videos. Casabon. Booyah!
Yeah.
How are you, Phil?
I'm great. How are you, dude?
Super stoked.
Booyah. Without further ado, let's jump into it. You ready for this? We got second lined up.
Jossi Wells. Jossi Wells.
Yeah, how stoked are you, man?
Man, I can't even tell you how stoked I am. Like, super stoked. I haven't talked to Jossi forever. I'm a super fan of Jossi. And this is this is episode 19. If we give an episode numbers, I'm stoked on that. And then I'm stoked this is our first ever show where we're talking to someone in the next day. Jossi and Thursday.
Man.
Jossi and Thursday.
He's ahead of the curve on skis and in real life.
What
are you healing the nation with tonight, Iberg? People want to know.
Ross Jacob, big up yourself, man. We smoking on that Dark Horse Farms White CBG.
Sure. Yeah, man. Without further ado, to introduce the man, he's the eldest of 4 freestanding prodigy. He paved the way for the whole family, and they all got steez. It's a genetic thing in the Wells. Father as well. Father the most stylish. He's a big air specialist, slopestyle specialist, half-pipe specialist, X Games gold medalist, swam in the most free.
You got to turn your music off.
I like it with the beats. He skis with precision and grace. Everything he does is focused towards aesthetic. By the words of RZA himself, we got the acrobatic, sick, psychedelic, mad genius, the mini Iceman, the national icon. From NZ, who we got tonight celebrating Iberg?
Jossi motherfucking Wells. So we gonna give Jossi a call, man, on the other side of the world. He's in the southern hemisphere, man. Springtime there. And he's there. We invite him, and then it's gonna go boom, bomb, connect at the bottom of the screen. And then we hope he shows up. Jossi, with the invite button. Jossi, join.
My boys.
Yeah, Jossi.
Yeah, hell of an intro. What up, Cheese?
I was just so
interested on what the hairstyle would be. I was curious, would you be bald? Would you be buzzed? Would you be slick back? Would you be fucking Keanu Reeves? But man.
I know, dude. Especially seeing all those old vids popping up the last few days. I'm like, damn.
It was fun to go on the ride, man. It was so fun. It was so fun to go on the Jossi Wells ride because the funnest part about this show is we just I don't know, we lived we got to live kind of the same time. So it wasn't like we ever looked back or said like this, but there's a pretty good visual of your fucking 15 years of life in the last 2 days online.
Yeah, I think there is too.
Jossi, have you seen the show before?
I have.
Awesome. So for the people that are watching, so you guys know, the point of this show, Giving Flowers, is we have people on every week, and what we do is we want to celebrate pretty much the people that brought a lot of things to the sport. And John, you're one of them. You're an icon, you're a legend, you're a foundation for the whole sport within your country. Like, your level is so high when we start off just by saying who's dope, and you're on the list. And then after we say you're dope and we really see everything you've done from movies to contests to every single thing, man, yo, you the illest, Jossi. So this show is to celebrate you, my friend, and we're going to spend the next hour or two or however long you give us to fucking tell you how dope you are and give you thanks, give you your flowers, because we want to make sure that you get them and you know what you've done for the sport, because all three of us kind of love skiing on here.
That's
So,
true. Well, thank you, boys. Very, very, very honoured to be chosen to participate. Thank you very much for having me.
The honor is all ours, brother. So to kick things off, since not everybody might be familiar with you, so give us a breakdown. Where you from and how'd you get into skiing?
Words. So I was born and raised in Wanaka, New Zealand. You know, if you ski these days, you've probably heard of this place. It's become quite a mecca for Southern Hemisphere skiing. I was born from two Australian parents over here to Wanaka just before I was born. And they moved over here to work at Cadrona, the local ski resort. So Dad was running ski patrol up there. Mum was running the child center and then the food and beverage. And yeah, man, just grew up skiing. At about 7 years old, Mum and Dad realized we weren't getting any like family time. We would go to school all day, come have to do homework until we go to sleep. And my mum was a school teacher by trade, so she decided, her and Dad decided that they'd take myself and Byron out of school, and Mum would homeschool us. So that kind of opened up the door to be able to be up most days that it was different, then be schoolwork when we got off the night. So yeah, had an amazing opportunity to ski as much as possible, basically. And yeah, Mum and Dad definitely drilled in like pretty early on. It was like if we didn't do our schoolwork, we didn't get to go. So there was kind of this intrinsic motivation that was born and bred like from a young age that wanted to do something, you had to work hard to get to do that. And it's interesting to look back on now and see how that kind of mentality is like a ripple effect through everything that I've ended up doing. And just instilling those values, like if you want to get something, like you can do it, just go for it.
My biggest question, Jossi, I want to go back to the early years, because when I was researching you, like I got to meet you in the summer of 2008. I heard about you a little bit before, but in the research I did today, like there's a comment, 9-year-old Rip Curl Heli Challenge or something? Does that sound familiar? So, so like when I put that in perspective, I was like 9 years old. So what, this the year 2000, 2001?
1999.
Okay, so I'm looking at it, I'm like, holy fuck. So like, I think Marc-Andre Bellevaux went there the next year, like year 2000 or something, and won like the thing. But you were there since day one. That means like you saw some really, really early shit, like globally in 1999 and all of this. So like, as a 9-year-old, what was your influence? Who were your influence? Like, what made you even think it was a sport in 1999, being from New Zealand? And did you see movies? Like, was there content? Like, you had one of the biggest contests in the world. So I'm just interested because I didn't really hear you till 2005 or 6. Like,
yeah. Story behind the Heli Challenge was Guy Harrow from Aussie, amazing photographer. He created the World Heli Challenge down here, and it was kind of one of the, like premier free ski and snowboard events early on in the 90s. I think it'd be going a couple of years before I did it. And he approached Dad and like, hey, I'd love to have Joss come and get involved in the event. And I'm like, nah. And so I went and got to ski with all the crew out in helicopters all around these local mountains. And at that point, like, man, I probably had seen Twin Tips for the first time, like the season before that, maybe. I remember vividly walking into the ski patrol, and they used to have like a demo deal with the Cadrona Ski Patrol. They would test out Solomon for them, like basically, and like try to thrash them. And so they were always having these new skis rolling through, and I walk, and there's these yellow skis in the wall of my bag. Oh, Jossi, these are half pipe skis. You can go up and come back down backwards. And I was like, what? So that was probably like maybe the year before that. And yeah, got the invite to go and shred with them. You guys both know Hamish, who started Mons Royale.
Yeah.
He New Zealand free skier way back. He was in the event. He like took me under his wing and kind of like took care of me during the event. And we were talking about it the other day, and dude, he was 19. He's like 10 years old. There's this like 19-year-old kid, and then he's like, look, this 9-year-old. And at the time, I'm thinking he's like super old and responsible. You know? So at that time, the skiers that I got to meet there was Dave King.
So was Gravy a New Zealander or was he an Aussie?
He's an Aussie, but he was like had heaps of like bravado, loud guy, like, you know, had some 1990s swag going.
Big up Cream, because man, he was the first international like Aussie New Zealand guy that we got to see in the free ski world. So to me, like, other than who was the other guy, Willie Borma. Like, there was one other guy after Dave right before you, but like other than Dave, like that time, like it's pretty sick. Is there any New Zealanders even before you guys that were twin?
Yeah, Sam Hazeldine was a super heavy New Zealand head. He was like kind of the nationals and stuff like that. But as far as like, because at that time, like the freestyle free ski stuff was pretty new. It was still very much like free ride, and like the park stuff was just starting to come along once I was kind of into those early teenage years, or maybe like 12. So at that stage, Jeff Small, I don't know if you've heard of that dude, is like still today will like rip faster than any of down Triple Cone and pick the illest lines and go. And he's like, you know, 40s. So he was like pretty heavy head here as well. Yeah, those were the guys like super early days. And then as like the rest of the park stuff, you know, there was a whole bunch of guys. Brad Prosser, Tom Dunbar, who else? And there's a massive list of guys. But it was always a really healthy scene down here. And it was before internet, so we didn't have any, like, we couldn't just go and see what was going on. We were just pretty isolated. But we would get, like, somebody would get a Poor Boys flick. Like, I remember watching Happy Days for the first time and seeing T do a cork 3 and being like, I want to ski like that. That is the coolest thing I've seen in my life. You know? The first ski movie that I ever saw was The Realm by TGR, and it had CR doing 1260s. Remember that segment where he did like 7, 9, 10, 12?
Yeah.
It had the 3 fills like hitting that little tiny street rail that was like kind of big. And they're like talking about how went into the mogul contest and they couldn't do any flips. And they just said, stuff it, man, we're going to do what we want anyway. And they like did their tricks and got disqualified. It was pretty sick.
The movie The Realm said this?
The Realm, yeah.
I got to rewatch that. Awesome.
Yeah, it was sick. It was a cool, like, as a young kid, like this like real counterculture kind of essence was about sport at that point. You know what I mean? And it was like it was something that as like a young kid, you just thought that was like hearing these dudes be like, "Yeah, we're just going to get disqualified because it's sick, so we're going to do it." You know,
your favorite skier as a little guy, like in your early teens?
Early days was T-Ball, McKell, and Yoon, and I kind of wanted to. I kind of liked different aspects of each of them, and I wanted to like take aspects and kind of, you know, mold it into into my own skiing in my own way. And then, so I just kind of took inspiration from those three pretty heavily, and then like maybe a couple years later, like came TJ as well, and I loved the way that TJ did it. It was like so much more unique than the way anyone else was grabbing. And so that was something that the first time TJ came in, he just like skied around behind him, copying everything he did. And you could ask him these.
Yeah, I don't even think about that. Like his first time going with Armada, you were still like creeping on the come up because, like in the big picture, you almost get clumped into the same time as TJ. You know, like looking back, it's like, oh, you guys are the same generation, but realistically, TJ blew the fuck up in 2004. You know what I mean? Which is a kind of a good amount of time when you're a little kid. When we're talking 3 more years before you're fully on the scene.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, big up TJ, man. Yeah, he was ridiculous.
So much. And is the catalyst to you quitting your racing scheme to free skiing due to the movie The Realm and ski movies in general, or how did that transition happen?
Yeah, I ski raced till I was 14. And once I at 15, you joined FIT, right? And I was like, did all the races up then. The last year I did racing, I won nationals for GS and slide. And then I also won like boat style and half. And at this point, I was like 14, like Oakley was to like, and I had this comic, but it was like kind of racing and for free skiing, as I had maybe 2 years by the time I was like 14. And it was such a natural like pull, dude. To be honest, like I loved the ash racing, like I loved to ski fast, I loved to like, have a challenge and be competitive, you know. I kind of hated everything that went around. I hated like the race parent. I hated the 5 o'clock early trainings in the freezing cold. I hated G dudes. I hated super sharps. You know, like it was like all this stuff around the thing just kind of sucked, but the actual racing was cool. When it came to free skiing, it was like it had the cool aspects of competition that I could like push myself and have some drive. Then everything else around it was like so free.
It was like a bonus. Like you had, I think the same thing. Like because I did moguls and stuff, and like the idea was after you practice something, you got to go free skiing, right? So even your coaches would be like, or you'd be like, "You guys want to go free skiing before practice?" And so you'd almost use this like subconscious where it's fun to do something before or after practice, calling it free skiing. And then when there was jumps all of a sudden involved in free skiing, because in my life I had to join the freestyle team in order to hit a jump. So we'd still free ski before or after, but that's still to jump on your own, you know, not have access to the park. So yeah, it's pretty wicked to see that because like when you get conformed to something, they're like, hey, because if you love something, you want to do it all the time, not just be told when to do it and how to. So, and that transpires to why you guys are the best, right? Because you free ski the most. AKA,
yeah, we were always the kids getting in trouble for like missing the last gate of the training course, because if we missed the last gate, you could like traverse across the side and like hit the little cliff or like the side hit. So we'd always be getting in trouble for like, we're always just gaffing out and like, you know, running up Chinese downhills early morning at Triple Cone while the coach is setting the course, and like little groms like blowing collarbones out and stuff because we were racing each other down cat tracks.
And was your dad a ski patrol at this time?
Yeah, he was still at ski patrol.
So is that a funny element? Like if you're building a jump and getting in trouble, and then your dad has to always deal with like, oh, we clipped your kid's pass, and he's like, oh, they're just boys being boys. Like, it's a fun element.
It was funny with Dad because it was always like we could get away with quite a lot, right? But like, if we got in trouble, it was like bad. Like if we got caught going fast in a slow zone, it was worse than getting your pass clipped because like we were in trouble with Dad.
Yeah.
So we
I
knew
enjoyed that in the winter of Wells when you guys were talking about, I think it was you or Byron, and they're like, yeah, I love this place. We go really fast, and we can even go faster than the ski patrol. Ha 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 ha! And it was like the funny laugh where you knew there was an extra story.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed that. I just imagine like what you do is like you're like, I'm gonna like outrace Dad catching me. No.
Yeah, we could definitely get away with a lot, but we had to keep the lid on. Yeah,
and he was your access to being able to ski in the pipe in a time where skiers weren't allowed, I believe.
Yeah, exactly. So at that point in time, like that would have been late 90s, early 2000s. Cadrona had like 4 half pipes, and there was no lift up at them, but it was just hiking. They were all packed. A lot of Japanese down during our winter, and it was like completely packed in 4 different half pipes. They were all different sizes and lengths, so they rode quite differently. But it was a snowboard thing, so skiers like weren't allowed in the pipes. And I don't know if it was exactly like I think it was a bit more of an unwritten rule kind of thing. But Dad would take us there in his patrol jacket and then stand at the top and like let Byron and I rip through, and then he would just lap with us. And if Dad wasn't with us, like we weren't supposed to go.
Fucking awesome. Big up Dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, like, so when would you consider your first breakthrough in free skiing? What's the moment when you're like, ooh, this might be an option in life?
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, how to get 30, how to get 20, 20, 20, how to get 20, 20, how to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month. Slows full terms at mintmobile.com.
There's a lot that could impress you about the all-new Honda Prologue EV. True, it's got class-leading passenger space and clean, thoughtful design and intuitive technology. But what really sets the Prologue apart from the competition is that it's more than an EV. It's a Honda. Honda, the power of dreams. Visit honda.com/prologue to learn more.
Man, it happened like kind of quick. I would have been 13, and we had it was the very first year that snowpark opened, but it didn't actually open to the public. They had like put in infrastructure in and put the T-bar in, and they were planning to open the next year, but they held the New Zealand Nationals until the season, and we all went up there. They ran the T-bar for the first time, and they built they had a stick quarter pipe and a big tip, and then a few rails. I remember they had this like super high, kind of short flat tire, like classic early 2000s. And then they had like that seat rail, that small one that was still there, like years later. And this Italian guy named Dino Benelli owned a snowboard shop in a ski resort in Italy called Prato Novoso, which is about, I think, like 2 hours from Torino. And he took this sequence of me on the sea rail, and he approached my parents, or maybe he approached Pete Wignevsky, about wanting Byron and myself to come to Italy. And I was like 13. Byron was 11. And so the conversation started. Mum and Dad talked with them, and Pete and Bridget, and it all like transpired so Pete and Bridget took Byron and myself to Italy for 3 months.
For what reason?
What up?
Why?
Okay, so the reason was Bozo was building a park and a half pipe, but no one in the area knew what to do with it because it was all ski racing. And so Dino wanted to take us out there, join the race program because we were still racing at that time, join the race program, make friends with the kids there, and basically like take these kids into the park, show them how to do it.
Wow.
We just had to get ourselves there. So the four of us got over there, and then they had lodging for us, passes for us, had allowance of food, I guess, and Pete and Bridget worked on the ski there, and I did the race program, and then whenever we went racing, we were like showing these kids what to do with the playground, basically. So that was the first time we went away.
That's amazing, man. I can't imagine the story. I mean, how old? You're 13. Byron's what?
Byron's 11.
11. So 11 and 13-year-old, you get to travel on the other side of the world to the northern hemisphere to like a European ski spot with Italian racers to show people how to, like, it's so sick. That might be the illest thing I've ever heard. That's not normal. Put yourself. Go find a 13-year-old like next time you're on a hill and imagine that kid gets that chance. It won't be.
The sickest part, Eric, is I busked with my violin outside the local supermarket and saved up enough money to buy my flight over there.
No way, so, in Monaco you did this?
Yeah. So that's how I got my first flight. Like I went from playing the violin on like the corner, especially during the holidays, was like, and then like after that I got a little travel budget from Oakley and kind of went from like playing the violin to like that between period where like you got a bit of travel budget from the sponsors so you can kind of make it work, and then you do the contest and it's like boom, you kind of go professional. But that 2 year period was like pretty crazy.
That's amazing.
What a hustle!
So you were a violin player and Wanaka on tourist. He said, "Raise money, pick up yourself, Jossi."
Yeah. Even like regular days, I was down there because I just make like $40 Kiwi an hour, roughly.
Playing the violin, kid.
Oh yeah, that's how I bought all my
40 an hour.
Yeah, it was lit.
Wow, you must have been really slick on the violin.
Nah, because then as you get older, you lose the cute points and you start earning less.
Yeah, you had to be so short for an 11, 13-year-old or a 13-year-old. You probably looked like a 10-year-old.
Like when I was 8, I was raking it.
You're such a cute 4-year-old.
Wow.
So that was a spot when you made it, but like for sponsors, like when, like, cause like your sponsor thing is one of the craziest things when I look at it, right? Like an Oakley, a Nike 6.0, a Monster, Dragon Now, Atomic Now, like it's crazy. So like when is it where someone's like when are you so amazed that one of these companies comes to you and is like, you're on our team? Cause I mean, Oakley even, right? Like think about that history of that team. Like to be on that team had to be pretty amazing.
Oh, totally. And like, so Atomic picked me up when I was 9. And then I think Oakley was like 10. It was around the same time. Oakley started, like it was regional, started getting some goggles and stuff, And then when we came,
because of ski racing, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, ski racing, but we're also kind of free skiing, and it was kind of, it It was a bit of both.
And you were cute kids, so they could take
pictures. Groms ripping around.
Yeah.
But when so the year after we went to Italy, the next year we came back and had a winter in New Zealand, and we wanted to head away again. We had the second time, right? And we're like, where are we going to go? And we had gotten a Freeze magazine, and we were like, yo, Park City Mountain, Park Mountain Resort ad of Pep. I think it was like, it might have been the photo of the 180 over the stair set that is 1242 seg. You know, it's like the kind of op-carve one where he's like going the other way. A photo of that, it was an ad, and then there was another one we saw that was a T Hall ad for Park City, and so we were like, yep, we got to go to Park City. This is the spot. So Mum and Dad had a family friend, Kiwi, who lives with Park City, so they called them out, and we went 3 months. But when we came out there, we got to go and meet Greg Stokes, the Oakley headquarters in LA, when we flew through. And that was the start of like the relationship outside of the New Zealand crew. Yeah, exactly, that clip.
Got that.
Everybody wanted to go to Park City after that one for sure.
Oh yeah.
You made it out, and you're 14 years old at that point?
Yeah, I was 14. It was so sick. And that was like the first day we got on hill. We ran into and met Josh Christensen, Alex Schlopey, McRae Williams, Vinny Gagne.
And they're all little kids at this time.
Oh, we're all grown. And like at that time, Cork 7 was like the trick that I had just learned. It was my thing. I saw like Joss do a Cork 7. He grabbed lead mute, and I was like, oh, I got to be this kid. He had a green Obermeyer puffy on. Oh, it was so sick.
That's the wickedest crew, like to show up and have kids your age that are all like at the same. Because think about the projection, right? Like over the next 10 years, you guys are kind of all the same. Like you have the same goals as fucking
totally.
15, 16 year olds.
You look at that group and it's like everyone made it. Like everyone did it. You know, we all had maybe different breakout times, but we all like went into this together. And it was honestly like I probably learned 95% of the tricks that I know how to do on skis during that like 3-4 year period in Park City with that. It was such an insane environment, dude. Everyone was just like, we would ski from 8 in the morning until they shut the lift at like 4, and then open night ski until like 10:30, 10 they closed it. Every day for like 3 months. We're all just like grinding. It was
12-hour a day, and then probably dreaming about skiing, just never stopping.
Yeah.
Who was the wickedest Grom crew there? That like when you guys pull up, who was like? Was there one kid that was better than everyone else?
Jossi, probably.
Dude, to be honest, it was like everyone had their own like thing.
Yeah, like you have Vinny, you have Joss. They're so different. You have McRae. So
yeah, like
everyone.
And even today, we all ski so differently, and it was like that almost from the beginning. But it was more like the vibe and motivation. We're all on the same level. We had like McRae was the mad steez dude with like the sickest nose butters onto down bars, and like he's like just mad steez. And then like Joss was like so technical and like all round, like could shred everything. Like Joss and I were probably the most both like ski pipe and rails, and like we kind of ATV style, and so Joss and I were probably pretty similar. And then I mean, Schlopey was just a maniac. He was always going huge and spinning crazy. And then Byron was probably more like McRae a little bit, where he was like a little bit more chill. But these, I don't know, but yeah, everyone had their like own. And dude, at that point in time, like I met Colby Stevenson. He was like 6 or 7 years old, and he was like skiing around after him, and he would like ski up to like older crew like that would come into the train park, and he'd be like, "Will you guys give me $5 if I do a backflip?" And I'd be
Have
like,
you even had to be around
go
like
ahead.
Tosh? You do Tosh, Max Peters, Stephen Thomas.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Tosh and Max, Ashley Battersby, well, the whole Battersby.
Yeah, because I remember 2004 or 5. Stephen was like people thought he was Banner because he was dressed in the same Oakley gear.
Mm.
Like, yeah, Park City was wild then. Wild,
Dude,
wild,
you know
wild.
who was mad ill was Brian Rossiter.
Who's this?
Remember him? Brian Rossiter? He had both way switch 10s before any.
Damn.
Yeah,
Never heard of him.
he was mad ill.
And he's a Park City local?
Blake Nyman was our coach.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, sick times. It was crazy. Everyone there was so good.
Is your father accompanying you on these trips, or is it like a full-on bro, go and do your thing with Byron?
We went 1 year solo, and then I think your dad came and started coming away with us. Yeah, it was sick.
That was always so cool to see, man, because your dad had such like a friendly and just warm vibe to him, where he was not like a soccer dad. He was definitely accompanying you and also being like one of the key guys, not doing it himself, but he was part of the whole crew. Like, that must have been so helpful for you to have that kind of support from the get-go, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think that just stems, like, my dad grew up surfing on the central coast of Australia. So he was like raised in a counterculture sport, and he understood like that execution was more important than anything. Like, you know, it almost just like it must have drilled it like all four of us, because, you know, we came out this other side being like, damn, like that's kind of been a focus for all of us since the very beginning. And so Dad, you know, he grew up around that kind of counterculture, and it must have been a sick time for him too, because, you know, it's like free skiing was going through what surfing went through like years earlier, you know, and so for him, it was kind of his place, even though he wasn't the one like that type of culture, like what he, and so I think he enjoyed it.
You guys were the epicenter in the Southern Hemisphere.
Mm-hmm.
So all you guys it was like the equivalent of Mammoth in the year 2000.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's the spot. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, where are you going? Wanaka. All the wells are there. And their dad. I'm rolling up cigs every day with him.
Yes. No doubt.
Brucey's always got the papers.
Yeah.
One thing. Go ahead, Iberg.
Oh, I was just saying, he always has the papers. It's true.
One thing that here in 2022 post-pandemic, people are visiting their priorities, and I think what made it on top of everything else is style, well deservedly. So here we want to have your description of style verbally, Jossi. Can you do that for us?
Yeah, I'm actually just gonna quote a poem that speaks to it.
Yes. Damn, my first guest doing this, Iberg.
Quoting a book.
All right, so it was always something just intrinsic within me that I was drawn to style, and that is like, it's like from the top down, right? It's from the trick selection to the execution to what we're wearing, like an all way of life. And I used to always get questions about it, and I always found it very hard to put into words. And then I read this poem. I actually listened to it for the first time, and it was like, like nailed it on the head so much, so relatable to especially skiing as well. The poem called Style by Charles Bukowski. I don't know if you guys have heard it before.
No, man. Hit us with it.
Style is the answer to everything. A fresh way to approach a dull or dangerous thing. To do a dull thing with style is preferable to doing a dangerous thing without it. To do a dangerous thing with style is what I call art. Bullfighting can be an art. Boxing can be an art. Loving can be an art. Opening a can of sardines can be an art. Not many have style. Not many can keep style. I have seen dogs with more style than men. Although not many have style. Cats have it with abundance. When Hemingway put his back to the wall with a shotgun, that was style. Or sometimes people give you style. Joan of Arc had style. John the Baptist, Christ, Socrates, Caesar, Garcia Lorca. I have met men in jail with style. I have met more men in jail with style than men. Style is the difference, a way of doing, a way of being done. 6 herons standing quietly in a pool of water, or you walk out of the bathroom naked without.
Yes.
You know what? It was the best definition of style of all episodes.
Yo, man.
You know, like
Dude,
you found it written art form, a great definition of what it, and it
Don't you
explains.
think that opening, that first paragraph, I think is so relatable to skiing? Style is the answer to everything. A fresh way to approach a dull or dangerous thing. To do a dull thing with style is preferable to doing a dangerous thing without it. To do a dangerous thing with style is what I call art. That's like
every coach needs to read.
you know?
Yeah, that's
Lit.
it's a
I
great
got
thing
goosebumps.
because the biggest thing about the sport is you're an artist that has an option to do a sport, right? Because you create art through the movies, through how you ski, everything. That's your style. That's your personal thing. But then that whole poem explains competition. You know, that's the dangerous thing without
Mhm.
style. Like, so that's not really style. So it's just fun because you're totally right. It's all ski. Makes sense.
What do you think, Phil?
Oh, thank you so much, man. I just copy and pasted it onto my quote book. This is a blessing you just gave us, dude. This is really powerful. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you should search it up on YouTube. There's a video of him like reciting it. It's super dope.
Oh, word. Yeah, the dude's got mad style. I can tell.
Yeah.
He wrote that. God damn. Makes
Man.
me want to write about style.
Nice work, Jossi.
Yeah. I mean, the
It's fun because it's such a confusing question for a lot of people that have style. You know, because they're not really. Okay, so I'm going to tangent here. What's fun, like, so something I noticed about you when I started bugging out on the breakdown. I was like, holy shit, here's a picture of you in 2008. Here's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. None of them were the fucking same. One had a face mask. One had a bald head. One had some slick back hair. One was a motorcycler. One was a Navy peacoat seal guy. One was this. I was like, holy shit. And so then I started bugging out. I was like, you know, like, it's kind of like Mikkel, where like your style, like he had a different one every year, whether it was the Rasta guy, whether it was the gangsta guy, whether it was his emo, whether then it's like weird death rock or whatever he did. But what's fun about you, people that have style, like you also like you fall in. So we're all on the search, right? Every human's on a search to figure out who you are, what you are. And so you were always an all-in kind of person. And it did, like your skiing didn't change. You know, like if we see you as silhouette ski, it's always the same. I'm only talking a lifestyle image, what I was just talking about, right? Not a ski image. And so I guess where I thought this was awesome, and I want to give you credit, is because you're pushed to find your inner style. Because you have to find it. It's your own thing. Like just how everyone has to find their own thing about everything. Same with style if you care. And man, like you do it and you push so hard, and whether that's like, oh, I want to tweak my shifty more or have a new hairstyle. So you're always in a constant evolution of just finding some way better, smoother, cleaner, less risky, if you will. You know, because in art, you drew it like you made a zero spin run dope. That was the most shared video of anything I post. Right? Like your most rewarded achievement is straight running in practice a fucking course, not the victory a year later. So it's very interesting, like all this stuff in the search of style. So I don't know if you understood any of that, but to me, I want to say pick up yourself on everything you've done, and your evolution of your style is always to better yourself, I've noticed. So you're always in a search to better, whether it's your ski trade, who you are, whatever. And it's noticeable to me. So it's wicked, man. I know you're a better person today than you were yesterday. Every fucking day.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, it's interesting. I've actually seen all those videos popping up one after one. It's not many people their entire youth documented on the internet. You know, like it's pretty funny to like see all the phases of things. Like, there's like part of you that goes like, oh, like, oh, I don't know about that one. What was I doing then? But something that I just like remember that like I've always just been all in about what I'm in to at that time and to express myself completely within that. And so I look back at that stuff, it's like I may think that it looks insane and that I wouldn't run that, you know, that steed at this point in time, but it's like it's all good. It's a different time, you know, like at one point.
The rap video with Kobe's a perfect example. I had to think about it. I'm like, do I post this? And then when I watched the whole thing, I'm like, yo, what? You know what? I bet Jossi had the best time of his life. So if he had the best time of his life, I don't care if it's cringeworthy today because the experience was dope. Even Kobe, like, reshared it, was like, man, this was awesome. So I was like, all right, that vibe, whether it's for yourself or Kobe, like, I don't know, it's a big deal. So who cares what others think about it? And as you get older, it's kind of fun because maybe even I said, like, when it came out, it's like, oh, that's pretty bad. But when said and done, you guys had so much fun that week, and you did it with your friend. And
I mean, I had it on like for that. Like we went shopping at the thrift store, and after that, found that jacket. We're like, yeah, we got to run this thing. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. Like, I mean, you grow and you evolve over time. And I guess being someone that's like always aesthetic and how you present yourself to the world, like. That just changed as I got older and as you know, as you grow up, whatever. I mean, even like think about the industry, like the style of the industry changes over time as well, and that's just like how things go. So you know, you can look back and cringe a little. You can look back and go, man, I was just giving it my all at that time, and that's what I was down with. Sweet.
Yeah, I'd say don't cringe on anything you did because when you look at it, it's like you know you enjoyed the time.
Oh yeah,
you know, because like man, I look at everything I watched, I was so blown away. Because my whole first beginning started like skiing with you every day in 2008 in that summer when we went for 30 days straight. Yeah. And so like, after that experience, I just got to watch you as a fan, and so that's when you blew the fuck up. You know, and like whether it was with your edits, with the film segments like that I didn't even post today. And it was just, I don't know, it's pretty wild to see because, man, that was like 8 years deep in your career. We haven't even started fucking saying how dope shit is, man. We've been just talking about random shit. But, like, yeah,
on this behalf, though,
like, pretty nuts to think. So,
to
Phil,
build on this, or go, what's up, Iberg? Let's hear it. Yeah, just want to build on what we got right now about the different eras and you running through, like, the whole style spectrum, possibly. What's your favorite Jossi Wells era?
Great question.
I'd say to be honest, probably like 2014 through 2016, maybe.
Was this the full black and white generation?
I was running like skinny pants. And it was all like all black, and I was just comfortable, you know. I look back, I'm like, I don't wear skinny pants anymore. Like mainly because like being in the backcountry in skinny pants is just not the go. But at the time, like that, I just felt so good. I'm like, easy. I was up to at that point. I was comfortable. I was cozy, you know, confident.
Hell yeah.
Good to be cozy.
Yeah. And yeah, probably like B&E Invitational last year. Was it 2016?
Yeah.
Yep. That was.
Like that was a nice year. That was a
Hell
sick.
yeah. Yeah.
And it was cool.
Yeah,
That
so
time,
nice.
I don't know. It was that kind of style was. Yeah, I'm down. I don't want to see this anymore, but you know.
When did
You should
on
do it on
that,
your
like,
website or something, all the different styles. Or like make people dress up as a different style every year, theme your Jossi Wells Invitational. Be like, Jossi Wells Invitational 2009 Jossi. Everyone's got to come with Empire bandanas and shit.
Dude, my mom was saying like we never did it, but she was saying because I didn't have a 30th because we were in lockdown here, and my mom wanted to throw it like my 30th birthday, and you had to come dressed as one of my phases.
Your mom's a genius. She's
wow.
like, dude, like, man, Harley Davidson Jossi was so dope.
Yeah, that was,
Like,
it was
with a little skateboard and a backpack. Like,
tough.
man, I thought Easy Rider was your best friend for a year on the internet.
Oh yeah, it was. I mean, that was around that same time. Like in the summers, I was riding choppers, and winter, I was ripping park. It was so fun. But I remember the day I stopped like just running the leather jacket and the skinny pants and stuff because I flew up to Whistler for a backcountry trip with Dragon and Ben Chetler. And I get out, we go out at Rutherford, and I get way out the back on a sled, and I'm in these like skinny, non-waterproof, like Holden pants or L1 pants, and like Supreme leather jacket, and it's like knee-deep power, like sunny, but like -30. I'm just
I know
out there.
Chris is the nicest human being in the world, but as a conscious backcountry person, does he make fun of you?
Yeah, dude, I was like,
Good.
yo, Chris, like, we're going to have to go buy me some clothes tonight. This is not the go. And he's like, yeah, I thought figure that out yourself.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you and Max Hill are the two only skiers that ran that style and made it look good. And it's a difficult thing because, like, in skiing, legs can go apart easily. So when you run, like, tight pants, a lot of flaws are shown.
It's
and you
tough.
made it look good. So that says a lot about your aesthetic and form, composure.
Thanks, man. I mean, we need to give flowers to Max Hill. That dude is like the single reason why that style appealed to me in the very, very beginning. And I was like, yo, I met him in Whistler, and he was the man. And I was like, it was funny, dude. I just saw how he dressed. It's like, I mean, you can relate as well. But when you see something that you're like drawn to, and you like dope, you're like, yo, I got to do that. And it was like there was no back, you know, like that was it. So it was like I don't know, 6-8 year period or something of just like, that's it, I'm down. And then I hit the backcountry, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna loosen these things out a little.
And you got like the most tech. At least now that are you a North Face guy now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got North Face / Supreme shit. So like you get like what a great collab for your style.
Yeah, perfect.
You know, and they put like fucking ski patrol patches on shit, and then you're like, big up, Dad, Supreme, North Face. We all getting paid and showing love. It's fucking wicked.
Full circle.
Yeah. Okay, let's get on to some other than fun conversation. Let's get on to dopeness of competition, because something that
before we move on from the style thing, I got something to say about at least skiing style, and it'd be cool to hear your opinion, Phil. But I think to have good style, it's in the eye of the beholder, right? But to have good style, it takes perfect balance, because if you have perfect balance, then you're not moving any muscle that you don't need to be engaging. And once you have that perfect balance, you have the freedom to work with it. So you can't add style or flavor to the trick before you've mastered the trick, because you need to have the perfect balance. You don't want to be flexing muscle or anything that be engaged at the time. Because as soon as you do, it's like you're flailing. Something's gone wrong, and it's all like micromillimeters of balance, from like rails to jumping, like anything. It's all like perfect balance. And when each of us is in perfect balance, it looks different. We have unique style, and it's, you know, like if I tried to ski like Phil, it wouldn't be my perfect balance, because I don't have the same body, the same way of doing things. And so I find it's like there is like quite a technical element to style as well, but it's like hidden, and it's kind of within. And then what like manifests itself as style is like total perfection within that self-expression. Does that make sense?
I think your last sentence has made it the simplest.
Yeah, so nicely put.
You know, the total perfection concept. Because when you do something repetitive, not to mimic, but to make it comfortable, your balance word, like that's, I don't know, I'd always say that when you can do something perfect, that's your style. Because if you do it perfect multiple times, that means that's what your muscle memory was. That's what you put a flavor on, you know, because you thought about it, right? If you're like, I want more bow legs in my no grab cork 360. Well, how many times are you trying it before you film it, right? You're spreading them out a little. You're realizing what looked a little stupid, what felt a little stupid. You know, is that a spread eagle, or should I bend my legs? And then after 1,000 times of doing it, well, that's you. You know, like it was so fun to watch. I'll use Tanner as a great example. It was like Mark Frank Montoya, Tom Penny, a little Eric Pollard. And it was like arms, bend over, and I could take like a stance, an arms, and something else from those three. And I watched him go from the mogul skier, Tanner Hall, to adapting these three things, making his own thing and perfecting it. That's the cork 360 that you saw no grab. That's Tom Penny, Mark Frank Montoya, and Eric Pollard mixed in one. And so
The Holy Trinity.
What's that?
The Holy Trinity.
Yeah, so it's just like I totally agree with you, Jossi. I think the style is a perfect way of you doing something and making it perfect, because repetition is your king. And then whenever, like, because you guys want to be good at what you do and better yourself every day, like you're not competing against anyone. So the betterment is like, all right, I got to do that. It's not just to check off the list. I got this for next weekend's contest. That's not even a thought.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that post you made the other day about that clip, and it wasn't your favorite, and you didn't know if you needed to go back and do it again, but then like later on it turned to be like your favorite shot of the whole project. Like, how many times have you been in a situation where you like you land a trick and you're like, yeah, you briefly look at the screen and you're like, I can do it better, and like majority of the time you just keep doing it. You do it multiple times, and then you go back and you watch the footage. Like the first one was like completely perfect, but because like it didn't, your balance didn't feel 100% perfect at every moment in that. You're like, nah, I got to do it again. It didn't feel so. But for like from the outside perspective, it looks totally perfect, and it can look perfect. But unless it feels perfect, you want to keep doing it, because it is possible for it to feel perfect, you know? And once you feel what it feels like to do a trick, no matter what it is, like completely perfectly for yourself, like it's an addictive thing, and you don't want to do anything that's not perfect anymore. And so just keep like grinding each trick or flip you're trying to get to that point where you like, you land it and you automatically know, yep, that's the one. That's the one. And the film is there like, why did you just have 20 of them? The first one was fine.
Yeah, to answer your question, probably I could count the amount of times that I was satisfied with a trick with my two hands. So in life, I mostly was dissatisfied with everything I've ever filmed, except for maybe 10. So that's definitely excessive, but it gets the result, the desired result in the end, kind of. That's just the mentality we pursue. But it's kind of like a certain trap also, because like you put yourself to such standards, then like you can't let loose of these standards. Like you said, it's an addiction also. So you won't let a clip that is half-ass slide. Like you got to put up something that is going to be aesthetically pleasing, and you can't go down lower. But the fun thing about it is style is like infinite. Creativity is infinite, so you can always do something aesthetically perfect that's not depth defying. So that's where we win, and we can keep like a career span going, because we're not trapped into trying to do the next 2160.
Here's an easy way. Do you paint, Jossi?
I don't paint, but I shoot photos.
Okay, so like I guess painting is the easiest way, I think, to describe it. Because you have a canvas, you do it, you always can add something. You know, like I have it in the movie. You have it with skiing. Like people that like, but when you're drawing a painting, like, why would you ever not keep adding something? Oh, wait, I could take this texture away. I could do it. You could work on one painting for fucking 10 years. But you don't have that privilege because the snow melts, sun goes down, camera runs out of battery, you break your bones. You know, so it's a fun, that's why the sport is an artistic sport. And there's totally two different elements. You're an artist and you're a competitive athlete. So you're pretty much artistic athletes, unless you're at a FIS event. Then you're just a competitor. So it's I don't know, it's just interesting because like it makes sense. Like if you're not satisfied, then like why would you be satisfied? You're not going to be better than next year for the segment, for the contest, for whatever. So I don't know. It'd be weird if you ever met someone that was like, you know what, dude? Like, no, I couldn't do it better. You know, yeah, you could. Like, couldn't you just land on that, like, do a 180 and 50-50, that down triple kink? I'm sure you could.
I mean, I'm yet to meet a film skier or snowboarder, skateboarder, or anyone that's like, oh yeah, man, I'm happy with what I got this season. Like, yeah, no one's ever like, man, I got to get more. And then at least it's like with skiing, it's like, well, the snow's gone. Like, there it is. You know, like imagine being a skateboarder. It's like when the deadline for the project.
That's why they have 10-year movies and shit, because there was always another day to do it. Oh, dude, Billy broke his ankle for a year and a half for the team movie, but then came back and made the closing segment. Said no one in the sport of skiing.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like it's totally different. Like we all have deadlines to create our art. You know, like whether it's like you with the light and snow, or a movie to like get it out, or nowadays or something. So it's a fun challenge, I think, for the artistic element of the sport, because there's always a timer on it.
Yeah.
Something that resonated too, and I want to bring up before we get into the contest domination, but a good saying that a rapper I like says, to quote Quanway, some rappers got the bars, but they don't got the vision. So if we talk about skiing, some people got tricks, but they don't got the vision. You definitely got both, and you showcase this with Brady and an edit where you had a ballet and ballet and skiing intertwined through the edit. Can you run us through how that came about?
Yeah, so that because I wanted to do a project that was like totally me, and something that kind of pulled from elements of myself that maybe were like unique for being a skier. And so the first thing I think is like playing violin. I'm like, word, well, maybe I could do something to a piece of violin. I'm like, wow, what goes with violin? You know, well, like some kind of ballet dancing. And I'm like, okay, well, like there used to be ski ballet, so maybe I could do something that was kind of a nod to like ski ballet, like a modern version sort of. And then and I wanted to like choreograph something so that the skiing and the ballet was like, we would basically doing the same thing, but just expressing it in a different way. And I was staying with Nikki Kiefer, and the dancer in this video is Nikki Kiefer's sister. I was staying with Nikki in Salt Lake, and I met her sister, and she told me that she was a ballerina. And I was like, oh man, I've had this idea for a film for a while. And I ran the idea past her, and she was like, I don't know, that sounds sweet. And then she bumped into Brady like a month later, and I guess mentioned something about it to him. Or no, he was telling her how he wanted to make a film about her like dancing, and she was like, oh yeah, I actually just like was talking to Jossi about it, you know, a couple months ago. And then Brady gave me a call, and he's like, dude, do you want to make a video like exploring this like ballet and skiing? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I've been wanting to do something like that for a long time as well. So we're like, boom, let's do it. So we got the funding to do it through North Face, which was dope. And yeah, we went out to Park City or like Salt Lake, Park City area. We spent like a week up at Woodward. We shot all the skiing first, and I knew that it was going to be easier for me to like do the skiing in the sense of like, what moves I thought that a ballerina would be able to do and kind of match my skiing to that sort of flow and flow like that. And then I knew that it would be easier for Chelsea to interpret the skiing rather than the other way around. So we did the skiing first. Like we met up, we watched. She's like very aware of skiing, like being a sister, you know. And so I kind of talked her through some of the tricks that I wanted to do and how I thought it might work for dancing. Like, yeah, I think sure. So we started shooting. We were getting like certain clips off that like we kind of got list of yet. And as we were going, Brady was making quick cuts at night and sending them to Chelsea to have her kind of prepping for her interpretation of it through the dance. Then by the end of the week, we'd like locked all the skiing to we got. Chelsea was like super on board, and like during Chelsea would give us some ideas what we could do up on the hill, and it was like this real collaborative thing. And then after that week, we went out into the desert outside of Salt Lake, and Chelsea danced for us out in the sand, and yeah, I kind of Brady and I directed it together, and he was filming, and we basically like had to let her like express herself naturally, but then also like directed her on certain moves that I wanted her to match it, like that zero spin clip where we both fall away, had her like do that, and then had her at the end. Like I wanted to do a bow, you know, bowing out of the video as a skier, but I didn't want it to be like super contrived weird thing. So on that last clip, on that like 9 line, you see I like land and kind of like lean forward quite a bit landing. So that was like the clip right here. So this was my way of like bowing out of the video. Yeah, right here. And then having her like kind of reenact the thing, but kind of the dancing version of that. And yeah, man, it was sick. It just got in the cutting room, and we had everything we needed. We spent probably 2 or 3 months like in the editing room. Brady was I was in New Zealand, in the States, and over in Denmark, and so we get online and jam on the edit and just kind of piece it all together exactly how it came out. But man, super fun process. And this is the type of stuff that I'm really interested in, like pursuing future more, is like taking the skiing but exploring some like mechanic ideas and like lacing it some like great entertaining and like beautiful to watch, but then kind of just going deeper into it and like exploring different things. And it just adds a lot of, it makes the process a lot more fun rather than going out, clipping up and then putting some music behind it. It's really fun to have like deeper vision on that sort of stuff. So,
well, who's gonna remember that? You know, like everyone's dope. So like, as someone who's detached right now from the sport, kind of like when I watch it, like if I see anything, everyone's really awesome at skiing, right? I don't even know you, but the reason why you're dope is because of shit like this, and we'll stay on the film stuff now for a little bit, Phil, because this is where I want to, like, I don't know, big you up, because this is why you're special. This is why you have a unique style, because like as a Renaissance guy, as a half pipe, big air, slope style filmmaker, movie guy, you know, like you always push the sport in this element because this is what really pushes it, right? It says be yourself. Who the fuck else is going to film something with a ballerina? So you know what I mean? But I remember it. Phil remembers it. And you put time and effort into portraying an art. Not just be like, dude, you see my something super spinny shit. I fucking found it. You know, so like, I want to say, you know, like, thank you for your approach on it over the years. Like all the videos you've done. Like, even when I found that fucking juvenile thing, I was like, man, like he's filming videos like this back when he was a kid. And then I go through the whole level of all your movies and your evolution of your visions, your input on different projects, you know, like projects you want to put out, even since Winter of Wells. You know, you were able to like start out in a documentary that got to like, you guys had a lot of say. You know, like to have a documentary, that's a big deal. It's not like someone came in and infiltrated your family. It was like a good friend. And so like you've always had this hands-on feeling for the art that you create and the art that you put out there and the image you put out there. Now your athletic ability is the highest level. That's not the point. But in this is film stuff, man, because that's what makes the sport progress. That's why everyone we talk to pretty much had long careers, because you're actually the creator of what people should do. It's not inspiring just to get a gold medal. Everyone's going to get a gold medal next year, but how does someone top whatever you visually create? It's timeless. You can't top it. You just have to make another piece of art that people talk about as much. So that's my ramble on saying big up on what you do, because it's been really fun to watch all your video stuff as someone who knows kind of like what it takes. Not only what it takes to put together a vision, but then you're an athlete. Your vision could be just eliminated tomorrow if you crash. So it's a very unique thing that you go through when you have visions of creating a movie and you're actually the star of it that like has different angles. Your whole year could be over once you come to a movie and you're like, I'm making a movie this year. I'm not going to compete. And then you fucking blow your knee and you're like, oh my God, what am I doing in this life? So I don't know. It's a huge, and then to see how long you've been in it, it's a big, big deal that you keep doing it, right? I think you just had a movie that came out again this year.
Last year, I've been this year, but yeah, get back healthy and
point which is like it keeps going, and that's like all you guys are so. I'm not even gonna say old. You know, it's fun. Hendrick just came out with his thing today, right? It's like I got another 10 years, and I'm just always think about it. Like Tom Brady's like 40 something. You know, it's like the idea, and then he's not an artist, he's an athlete. The shit you guys get to do is the perfected style, going back to your quote or whatever, doing something that's not as dangerous, perfect or something. That shit's obviously possible until you're like 50 at the highest level visually. You just have to have a great idea. You know, what's your story? What's your story? What's your visual? And is someone that gets to do it. So, man, like, I don't know. I'm excited to see what you create. Thank you for what you have created, because I enjoy it. And I'm excited to see whatever fucking New Zealander comes out of the world in the next 10, 15 years, because no matter what, you influence them.
Thanks, my bro. I mean, I think the film stuff is like so exciting as a skier, as a creator. I think it's like, Phil, you'll attest to this too, but as a skier and as someone that's like motivated to ski the way that you do, it's like contest thing. I mean, it's exciting and it's fun, and I always enjoyed it. But on some level, you're having to provide a formula to try and podium, you know, and like you can try and figure out unique ways to kind of provide that formula. But hey, when you're skiing for a panel of 5 judges that they have a criteria, basically, it becomes quite it can be quite hindering, And so when it comes to video projects, it's so rad how much creativity you have. You can choose all the elements in how you do that skiing, and then you can choose the whole element of that skiing. And it's like it's like performance. It's like performance art, but at the same time, it's like sculpture art. When it comes to backcountry or even street, it's like I was talking to Torrin about this the last we were out building a jump. It's like, yo, we're like straight up building sculpture art, right? Like out in nature, building this structure that looks beautiful. Then we're going to go and like do performance art on the structure that we've built. And like, we're going to get smoked, and then we're going to get a flip, and we're going to go home and be like, let's do it again. Like, it's so much fun.
You want to know the next layer to this? Because I just had this conversation with my dad because I was talking about something I have to take apart that I worked hundreds of hours on. I was like, Dad, I don't care. Do you know one time I built something for 2 straight days with 12 grown men for 10-hour daylights? And then when we were done, we all destroyed it so no one could hit it again. So like, we created a perfect tip with 12 like grown men, did all this stuff like 90-degree angles, like tombstones, and you're like, beautiful art. Art was great, and then we all smashed it. And so it's such a funny, I don't know, you could never imagine like anyone in life if you put it as a parallel. What other person have you ever met that worked with 12 other people that put 100 hours of work time in that to hurt themselves and then destroyed it after? So it's a really, I don't know, it's pretty deep actually. As far as knowing like what you create, like you destroy, and then you're back to nothing. You do it again. What are you going to create tomorrow? Don't matter how dope it was today. Let's destroy it. So I don't know. It's pretty fun as artistic people because I never called myself an artist for like 15 years until after I left skiing. Where I was like, wait a second, I actually created this and had a vision of that, but I took other people's visions, melted it together, and then put their vision somewhere. So,
yeah, man, the process is so cool, man. Like, that's something that when I stopped competing and I started all my time trying to film was like, as much as you try to not do it when it comes to contests, like it is kind of outcome driven. It's very like, I'm skiing now, we've got the contest coming, like, I want to do well here, whatever. It's got this kind of like, it's about the event, where like, it comes to filming a project, like kind of more about the entire process and that how you go into it. And then the product at the end is like the cherry on top. But to me, the most valuable part about that whole process is like the whole process itself. And to be able to be out there like in the middle of nowhere in the backcountry in the forest, just being like, man, I'm out here with my bros right now. Like, nothing could be sicker. This is crazy. And you can kind of a little more peaceful. Like, have a moment.
Think about this though. That peacefulness that you're talking about is what forces you to go create art that no one else does. Physical art that has consequences. So it's like, yes, like you created this awesome idea that you're with your bros, but the reason why you excel in life is because you put yourself in a position that you love. Like, it's crazy to think about. Like, the whole element, you're like, man, I'm going to go just be cold, go fucking sleep on the floor of my friend's house, and then we're at a different place in the world, and then you're sitting there, and realistically, the consequence is you better perform. You better dance, monkey. I'm the cameraman. I'm saying dance, monkey, dance. That's the business element. But the art element of all of us friends is like, no way, what are we going to build today? What do we have the opportunity of today? Like, no way, we all did this, because you have to make the most of it. You all traveled so far. Everyone's supporting you. Your sponsors, your friends, your family, your fellow skiers, your camera crew. You have so much support to win. Awesome. Like, it's more than anything team at any Olympics. You know, like you look at your team at the Olympics, your physio, your coach, your fellow athletes, like your team when you film, man, is so deep of how many people believe in you. And then you're out there like where you need to survive with people that might have to cart you out on some fucking goddamn skis 20 miles.
Yeah. Man, it's so sick. It's such a cool way of life, eh? Crazy.
What else about movies, Phil? So like fucking Jossi dominated. He fucking had lots of like I just don't want to miss any film elements before we go to anything else. Because that's what I think is really cool about what you do. Because that's what inspires the kids the most. Like, yes, contests get them out to an Olympics or whatever, but I don't know. They see all what you and your brothers do all the time. You guys put so much content out there. And then by doing that, it's just kind of like, hey, do your own thing. Create your own lane. Because contest isn't creating your own lane. It's follow a lane.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think the cool thing about like a professional ski career, or it doesn't even just need to be like just the ski thing, but it's really like not a linear path. And like, I mean, look at Phil and I. Like, we're at very different places, but at one point we were like same exact thing, like doing the same, trying to like perfect the same kind of formula and something. And it's like we've both been on our paths, and it's like they're very different places, and it's like awesome. And it doesn't have to be like this linear process, and that goes even past contest, past into like the rest of life. It doesn't have to be this linear thing that, you know, I think sometimes as an athlete that gets started pretty young, it's just this constant like, oh, you're in skiing as a competitive person, and now like, what's after skiing?
who's the dopest kid in New Zealand that doesn't compete on skis?
Dane Kirk.
All right, we'll have to find.
Ben Richards is someone who I'm a big fan of right now. He does some like free ride events, but dude is really yeah, I would watch out for Ben. He's gonna be popping for real. Dane Kirk's dope too. Phil, you know Dane, right?
Yep. Yeah, I met him, I think, when I was down there in New Zealand. And not to get too nostalgic, but do you miss Snowpark much?
Man, I miss Snowpark. I miss Cal Runnerstrom, the whole 9 yards.
True, Cal. Hell
You
yeah.
know what I miss? I miss Jason Wolf. When is the last time you seen him?
Dude, I see him around town all the time. He's still in Monica.
Will you give him a big hug when you see him and just be like, that's from Iberg? That would make me.
He's got a little daughter now that he's got up on the mountain skiing. He's loving it, man. It's cool.
He's got to be so little.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, man. Snowpark. It was golden years, man. The golden era. It was incredible. I'm just like hyped that we got to experience that. What a place. So
much.
Yeah, no place like it. You know what? I went to Woodward. I don't know if you've skied at Woodward in Park City yet, but like doing laps in that place kind of gave me like Snowpark vibes. Like one chairlift that runs down each side, music playing, like.
But they don't have as big jumps. It's not as big a piece of.
Nah,
okay.
Definitely not. But yeah, man, those times were insane. That box line. I mean, dude, that box line is like. I feel like you honed it, like the whole way that you slide rails. I bet you like honed that on that box run.
Oh, I was loving it. Definitely.
Everyone loved it, man. That was the most gnarly place. Like the fact I went there and we skied 31 straight days, like no matter what the weather was, like just woke up like yeah. It was like if Mammoth was only one chairlift. It was just like this craziest place where you would go and you're just like, all right, this is so fun. It was like Highland Hills with a chairlift, big jumps. Mm-hmm. That's all there was go time to dominate your profession.
Man, it was just our place. Like there's no place like that. It was literally the perfect place for our people, you know. It's crazy. So good.
Are we doing it, Phil?
Yeah, there's a lot of shit like that is so notable that we got to run through here. I got something I am personally really curious about and interested in because it touches my very it's something dude that I love very much. So you got a publicity done for Nike 6.0 by Rula Zigzag Zigala himself. Did you ever get to meet the dude or see him in person, or how did that come about?
Dude, Riley Paul just commented, "What up, Riley?" Yeah. That dude's responsible for that. That's sick timing. Yeah, Nike 6.0. Riley signed me on the team. That was so sick. We had some insane years with that crew. But dude, to be honest, I didn't even know about this video. That play was playing on like American television, and I was sitting in
New Tour, I believe.
Yeah, I was sitting in Mi Casa in Breckenridge having like Taco Tuesday or whatever at like 5:30, and then this just comes on the TV in the corner. I'm like tripping, and there's no sound.
You didn't even
I've got no context. I'm like, and they like wanted to make it a surprise for me, so no one said anything until I saw it, and then I think I called Riley. I was like, "Dude, what is this that I saw on television?" And he was like, "Yeah, boy."
Yeah, that's wicked.
That's incredible.
Like, how would you not? You didn't even have a clue. They didn't tell you.
No clue.
A commercial. They didn't say anything.
What?
Nah, they just like surprised me. They were just waiting until I saw it somewhere, and then they were all like, "Ah." There was another really sick one that he did with Mason Aguirre. I don't know if you've seen that one. It was super sick.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, he like
insane.
He like raps all about Mason the whole way through. It's so sick.
That's next level, man. Phil, ask a question. I gotta take a piss. I'm back in 30 seconds.
What else is special as fuck while Iberg is gone here? Yeah, throughout your career, like you've been places and met a lot of radical human beings. Any one in particular you can tell us about that stuck out of the whole bunch?
Oh, man.
You could go with two, too, if there's too many of them. I know there's a lot of nice, cool people in life.
A lot of great people, man. I mean, dude, it's hard. Like, you know it as well. Like, when you grow up getting to, like, travel around to the events and stuff, and you've got this big crew, but you're all from different places. And as you go up, everyone gets older, they kind of settle in a little more in their places. I feel like I got so many, like, best friends, close mates that are, like, spread out all kind of over the globe. Like, I get to go see Elias Humble and his wife, daughters, in, like, a month. I haven't seen them for, like, a bunch of years, so that's going to be awesome. So great. Man. My homie Billy Mackey, who I ride motorcycles with, he's in Colorado. I've seen him for a couple of years, but he moved out to Virginia, so I might not see him much anymore, which is a shame. That dude's mad interesting. He's cool. Dude, you know who is always super dope? It's the whole, like, French freaky crew. You know, like the Shapers and the crew when you'd go to, like, the Total Fight or those, like, what was remember the Game of Slush thing before the Game of Slush? That one?
Yep.
What was that one called?
Vars Tournament.
Yeah, Vars Tournament, and, like, man, like at Candy.
You guys both do that event?
That whole crew, I feel like, is like such a cool core, like, ski crew of, like, crew that would shave, crew that would judge, crew that would just hang out and shred. I always, like, really enjoyed hanging with the Frenchies over in France, you know, or like even like at Kevin Rowland's Invitational, like the step up thing that he did. We went and did that there, and it's like it's always like the same heads, you know. I can't remember everybody's names, but Always a cool crew over in that area. Love that. Switzerland as well. I think that crew hang out in Switzerland a bit too, like Larks events. And homies everywhere, dude.
Good choices, though. Considering I was like probing kind of for you to go like with Wim Hof or Lars Hamilton, like those kind of stories, and you went like for the homies, which was amazing, even better.
Yeah, dude, that's a crazy story. Like hanging out with Wim in Iceland for a week, just me and him and like a small film crew, swimming in like glacier lagoons. That guy is like super interesting guy. He was sick dude. Same with Laird Hamilton, legend, epic dude to hang with. Like those guys really were like, they treated me like family. It was super cool getting to hang out with them. Like a week in Hawaii with Laird, got to go out surfing with him. Pretty dope. It's kind of like in these deals, it's like you're almost driven by the same stuff, so it's kind of easy to relate, right? Like Laird Hamilton's like the king of the ocean, you know, but then you meet him and it's like you're on the same level because like the way that he pursues his sport and the reason for it is like the same reason why we do it. So it's cool meeting people like that, and just they're always super down to earth and like full of passion, like super inspiring, you know.
Riley just pulled up with a good question. Shout out to Riley for Candide Invitational story.
Candide Invitational story. I was 16. What
year did you go? What year is 16?
2006.
Wigan. I think I went that year.
Yeah.
Where is the clip of your Switch 7, dude?
Oh, the big flail. The forward 5 was way nicer. It was less flail. Man, that jump was huge, dude. That was insane. So much, like, it's crazy when you hit big jumps how much the wind actually affects your body. It's like your tricks have to be totally different because when you set the trick, start spinning, like, wind is so hard out of your chest and the rest of your body that it tweaks you out, man. Yeah.
16-year-old Jossi just sending a 125-foot jump.
You wicked. Like, we had
40
a rule on here. And, like, I shot him, and I was like, yo, dude, when you did that bio 9 in the fucking cloud on that jump,
damn.
it was fucked up.
Dude, it was like flat light.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that had to be so fun. So you're 16. You're at Candide's event. Like, man, I can't even imagine, like, what, like, I want to know, like, in your head as a New Zealand 16-year-old, I don't know, you're the only Southern Hemisphere person at the whole event. Yeah, you ill.
No.
You're only one person from us.
Yo, Tori Beatty was there.
No way, Tori was there?
Tori was there.
Yo, Tori, if you're on here, big up yourself. I miss you.
Like, we were holding it down for the Southern Hemisphere, but good funny story about me and Tori and at this specific event, which is probably what Riley is alluding to. So I was actually there with Rex Thomas and Charlie Ager and Ian Costco and Josh. What was his last name? Do you remember Josh from Whistler, Skeet on Atomic?
Stack?
Josh Stack. Yeah. So that was our posse. And so Stack, Charlie, and Rex were like bailing on the last day of the event right after the mountain drive back to like wherever they were going. And I was going to Yoon Olsen's event with Tori on the same flight the next day. And so we get home off the mountain, and I don't know, like, I'm super young. We like get to the apartment. Rex packs up the van. He's like, all right, see you, dude, peace. And he bounces. And then I realize, like, I don't have a phone. I have no way of contacting Tori. I have no idea where she's staying.
Tori like your chaperone or what?
Nah, but I was just going to go to the airport with her the next day.
Okay.
But we didn't organize anything like on hill about how that happened or where she was staying. And so they left. I was just left in this apartment like, oh man, like how do I get a hold of anyone? I didn't know where anyone was staying. I thought I was on kind of the road out of town. So I literally just went, sat on the road, watching every car that came past for like until 11:30 at night, and then went to sleep, woke up at like 6, same thing. Flights like early afternoon, gets to like mid-morning, and I haven't seen anyone I know. I've lost my wallet, which is lit. I have some cashier's checks, so I go and cash them. I call my parents' payphone in New Zealand. I'm like crying at this stage because I don't know like what to do, and they just get a call like, "Yo, I don't know what I'm doing. Got no money. I'm like stuck here. I don't know where Tori is. My flight's soon." Blah blah, and then it just like drops out. So my parents are back in New Zealand, like, nice. Our 16-year-old's like screwed. Ended up sussing a taxi to the airport. Missed my flight. Tried to get on another one. Tried to charge me crazy overweight. Basically, like a crazy 24 hours. Ended up getting on a flight, and then meeting Tori, and Tori was waiting for me at the airport at Stockholm. We linked up and got. But it probably doesn't seem as crazy. But at the time, it's like I hadn't had any like much experience solo, and I hadn't like been through in a flight or like how that rolls. I didn't have a credit card. And so through that experience, like super stressful. And then after that, I was like, as long as I have my passport and a credit card, like I don't care what happens on like travel days. Like I'm so chilling.
I know, but dude, you're 16. Like,
yeah,
everyone on this whole show is 16 years old, man. It's not relatable.
Yeah.
Like, the story you just told is just bizarro.
Mm-hmm. And then I wrote at like into like the tot, and like Dumont's getting dragged out the front by like 4 security guards. Sammy's like getting dragged out by 2 of them, and they were like play fighting and just like turned to custard.
Yeah, at that event, I hung out with Henrik and Greta. Henrik was 14, Greta was like 16, because everyone would rip their shirts off at those parties. And I'm like, yeah, I don't rip my shirt. I'll just go bowling with these guys. Well, I'll be the guy who drinks a little bit. But it was so funny because, yeah, man, I can't imagine. Like, those parties were so wild you went to.
So like, wild.
So what's your view as a 16-year-old in 2006 going to the Ewan Olsen Invitational? Like, what? Like, yo, that was the most unreal experience. I have a gold key in my office, and my kid still says, "Why do you have a gold key, Dad?" I'm like, "I have a key to the city." So, like, what's it like to have a key to the city at age 16?
Man, crazy ride, man. Like I said before, it kind of happened quick. You know, like you go from looking up to all these dudes, and then like very quickly you're like in with them. You go from like them to like sign a poster to then like sitting next to them like signing the same poster, and you're like, whoa, this is crazy. I'm like sitting there like at Ewan Olsen's event, we're all signing these posters, and I'm like trying to figure out a signature. Like on every poster that comes through, I'm like trying to do one. Like I'm trying to figure out what my signature is going to be because I've got no idea, you know.
Yeah.
But that transition happened pretty quick, and like, you know, massive shout out to Candide and you for both like putting me on, and like, you know, like Candide definitely put by like bringing me super young, and then you did the same thing, and then because I was like competing a lot, I was reviewing a lot more at the time, and like he definitely took me under his wing and like helped me out a lot when I was younger.
How was this event different than any other that you experienced as a young gentleman?
I mean, it's crazy how like the whole thing was about the athletes, like the whole everything. Like from the moment that we arrived there to that we left, it was like all about us having an amazing time, you know. And that's what was so special about the invitation. Like it was all about rider experience. And I think some of the other events are not so much about that. And that's why we always enjoyed the invitational events, because it was by the riders and it was about us having a great time. And the thing is, dude, if you have rider experience super high, then, you know, that's going to, as far as like business mind goes, like it's going to make sense corporately if the riders are having a sick time, because like riders have a great time, they're going to perform, and it's entertaining to watch, and then you make sense business wise, you know.
Yeah.
So I look back and like, it's funny, you know, hosting my own event now and looking back at Yoon's, I'm like, man, Yoon was like doing well with his event, and like, but it felt like we owed Yoon everything. But he was really good at like making our experience amazing, but he was also putting hard work in to make it make sense for him business wise too. And so like, you know, it was pretty inspiring, those dudes and what they did and what they did for Phil and myself, and you know, the guys. So sick. And that's something now, you know, where I'm at now, that's something that's super important to me, is to create something that, you know, is similar, at least in the same type of vein, that's, you know, these kids that are having to chase World Cups all year and come and enjoy something that is kind of reminiscent of like what the heyday was like for the
stay
sport.
on this right now and do a transition to your invitational, because once again, this is another amazing thing that you do. So in a time where there's not that many like invitationals going on with an athlete's name, is there any other right now?
Yeah, there's a few, isn't there? Like Kimbo sessions.
Kimbo sessions, big up Kimbo, like they're wicked.
Big up.
So there's a few of you, but like the way you do it, like I give all of you a salute. Like it's pretty awesome to see you do at this day and age, especially because you're the only guy in Southern Hemisphere. You have to understand, like everything, like when I analyzed you, like it's really fucked. We'll get into it in a minute. But like once again, you're the only guy down there that's trying to elevate it, because you're in such a weird international scene, you know, but at the same time you're a local scene that's important. And so you always have to be in, I don't know, like you have a very special niche of a niche of a niche of a niche of a niche of the sport. And I don't know, it's pretty amazing. So let's get into your invitational, because like what you've created. What year did you create invitational?
Phil, what year is that? 2016?
2016?
Yeah, that was the first one. 16.
So you did the first summer after the last B&E was your first one that summer?
Yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're on year 6 with, we won't call it the hiatus of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what was your motivation in doing, like when you created Invitational?
I mean, it's an interesting thing. At some point, it's like having a documentary made about you, or like the event named after you or something. There's this point where like somebody suggests that it would be a good idea, like, I'm not ready for that yet, do that yet or whatever. But Kadrona approached me and was like, would you like to do some sort of event? I was like, it'd be pretty rad to do an invitational. And they were like, yeah, let's do it, make it happen. So the main motivation for me off the bat was to bring skiing and snowboarding together, because I have so many homies on the snowboard side too. The events are quite separate, unless you're at X Games or Dew Tour, where it's like a very competition vibe, you know. But there wasn't really any other kind of invitation events that would bring in both together, and that's something that I was like pretty passionate about doing. I basically want to bring all my homies together, get to ride together.
I'd say the only thing that we got to give some love to is 9 Nights or whatever the fuck they call it nowadays. But at the same time, it's not an individual. Like, yes, it's Nico, but it's still whoever the presenting sponsor is.
Yeah.
So, like, that's where I think, like, you're kind of special, because it's your name bringing everyone together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, big about Nico. Like, it's so sick to see how that thing's evolved over the years. Inspiration as well, because there's not very many events that are like outside of the, you know, the formula these days. But it's super sick to have and every one of them that's adding something fresh. But yeah, basically just wanted to bring the homies together, and it started off like as a beer, and to get funding and stuff to run an event, it kind of needed to begin in a way that was like understandable and a little bit like, we had to do a big air and super final, and the sponsors and stuff were like, okay, cool, like what do we do next year? And then I'm like, okay, let me reel it back and make it a little bit less intense, and okay, like eventually to the point now where it's like come and speak for a week and that's about it. Like, we'll do some awards at the end, but it's just a session all week. It's not, and it's at the point now where I wanted it to be a session for a week of everyone hanging out, and that was getting to be at like Candide Invitational. That's what we rolled up, and everyone graded, and it was sick. It didn't have to be a competition or have to figure it or something. So yeah, I basically just tried to take things that I enjoyed about the events I'd been to over the years and just like inject them in, and like kind of the same thing as like taking inspiration from different riders to form the way that you ride. Same thing with the events, like the rider voted judging format we've been running for the last few years was like great any invitational way to like have it not be a competition and like a competition, but also have people leaving, being rewarded for riding hard and themselves and being dope to hang out with. So from that year that I got to come to BNE, I left that being like so sick that you could like Henrik won the vote, but no one was like, oh man, like Henrik won his own contest. Like, no, we all voted for him.
Yeah, that was sick, huh? Like that element, because that was such a hard idea because they didn't want to be in the invitational, and at the same time, I was like, man, like if everyone's voting, like who cares then? Because it's such a fun way of doing it. Like it only sucks that you have to do it fast. Like it's so fun if everyone could sit down and like watch all the replay that night and drink and smoke together. And like, because everyone had to watch it on a screen at the top, or whatever when you're voting on each other's performance. But it's got to be so fun to be voted by your peers as far as who's the best.
Yeah, totally.
Element.
So man, it's been a cool journey. We had like 98 athletes here from like 10 countries between ski and snowboard, and it's so much fun. It's a lot of work. 98 riders.
And is everyone qualified, or how do you do your event? Like, do people have to like go through qualifying rounds, or?
No, I literally just had people up and tell them that we could be jamming all week and come and join, and they rock up. It's pretty special.
That's wicked. Yeah, I gotta watch one of the live streams. I haven't seen the whole event. I've only seen highlights. Yeah,
I mean, we did like a live stream for the big air, but the rest of the week was like a session, and we filmers and stuff, and everyone just puts out clips. It's a pretty loose format. It's like super, but really fun. And I think like from the feedback I get from everyone that gotten to like skied or snowboarded in the event, it's like it's just something fresh for what else is up to these days. So people seem to love it, and like you obviously want to grow and continue to like make it better and make some changes and stuff. But at this point it's like, dude, what do you do with like 100 rides? And like, I don't know. There's multiple ways I could take it. I like shrink it back a little bit as far as numbers, host people more properly and validation and stuff like that, or like big numbers and like just come rip because people are really in it and it's super fun. But yeah, I mean, those decisions we'll see going into the future. But fun, man. It's really satisfying too. Like when you put in so much work and then you see people enjoying, like it's all happening because you put that work in. It's like this really cool sense of satisfaction that is something that is quite a different feeling than like the satisfaction of a personal like goal or like a clip that you want to get and you put in the work for that. It's kind of a selfish satisfaction, whereas with the event it feels like it's this cool thing where you see all your home just vibing and you're like, yes.
Well, it's got to be so fun for you too locally because like there's such a big team, right? The resort, like just everyone that made the cat drivers, the ski pitcher, whatever. Everyone's fucking making that jump happen at the whole resort. So it's just like to put that together. It's like it's kind of like making a movie. You know, you got like a couple hundred people that make it all happen, and so it's kind of. But they're all as in a movie. You might have a guy in Italy that's setting you up with a place to stay, and other people. You know, like you're moving around. But your event, like all those people are under one umbrella, and you can have dinner with them. So it's super special, and especially if that's your location, because like when we did B&E, it's like, I'm from America, Phil's from Quebec, Henrik's from Sweden, you know, Raf's from France, but it's just like we didn't have what you have. Like, man, everyone probably seen you grow up. They're like, yeah, Jossi, you got your own invitational? Hell yeah. Your brothers are there. They're fucking dominating, doing quadruples.
Yeah, man, it's fun. It's so fun. It's something that like as long as I'm going, because you know I just think it's important for riders that are coming through nowadays. You know, some of the like I think it's important that they get to experience these types of events that we're fortunate enough to when we were younger, and just you know try and keep the spirit, the sport alive. You know, like you know the contest thing's great, the Olympics are great, and whatever. But I think like you know these sports have something special, and I think unless there's people that are like actively trying, you know, produce events like this or video parts and whatnot, like it could easily get diluted and just become you know, a very like if you ride park, it's like you're down the contest thing, you know. It's important for those that can to be able to like keep the spirit of these kind of sport alive as long as we can, because it's so.
Yeah, big up on being inclusive with skiing and snowboarding and bringing it together. I'm sure it's a good time. And also, there's never, ever been any complaints on peer-judged results. That's the way to go. Never nobody was angry at anybody. This is just the best way to go. As you said, Iberg, it would be fun to have a smoke out and see the footage and just like scream all together, but still,
that's all pretty
accurate.
Man. If you can make your invitational where like you guys have one night where it's only a party and watching footage of people, like everyone gets a whole clips of their footage from a whole week, and then everyone's like, no way they did that, this, just their highlights. They get to pick them, put them out on a thing, watch it all, throw shit at the screen. It'd be epic, man. Because I mean, like whether it's Tanner's event, like or B&E, like. How fast we had to hurry and gather people's information for the live stream so you can name a winner. I was like, oh, that's so fun. And then, like, how many people missed each other's runs because they were snowmobiling back up or something or didn't watch that screen. So that's what we were. But fuck, Phil, we're almost at 2 hours. We are at like 2 hours. We haven't done shit. Like, Jossi, you've done so much stuff. Like, you can't, like, this would take us 6 hours to tell you how much dope shit you've done. Phil,
let's revisit
give him an overview that I gave you on his competition, just basic X Games shit, because that's fucked up.
Yeah, for real. Let's check this gold medal run and have you like talk about the moment where you have been in it. You've done already like at that point maybe 8 X Games participation and finally get your first gold, man. That must have felt like gold, no pun intended. And this shit right here too is so fly. Talk about this run, putting it together, dude. That shit is extra top tier.
Cheer, brother. That means a lot coming from you. Yeah, that was my 10th Aspen X Games.
10th.
Yeah, and it was the first year that my mum came over and watched, and she was out at the bottom. And yeah, man, super slow that day with like the weather, the snow, and overcast. And people, I guess people couldn't really clear the jumps very well, but like I was so in the zone from the moment that I went up to practice that it was just like I didn't even notice that it wasn't like it was just one of those days, man, where everything just worked. Everything just was clicking. Had my run, wasn't worried about what anyone else was doing, felt confident, and just went and skied. And then like all of a sudden you're at the end, and like, damn, like I've been trying to do this for 10 years and that was just like easy, like it was just in flow state. When you're not trying, you've done the prior work, you've got the trick, you've got everything like out, and then you just show up and do your thing. And it was definitely a day in the flow state, like an extended, like a whole day. It's like you can dip into that flow state on certain trick times and stuff, but to actually just be in that place for like 3 hours or something was pretty yeah, very happy, hyped, very hyped.
Yeah, you crafted a special run, man. Everything was very thought of, and it's notable. Like just both way 270s. Often you mirror your shit like in contest. You can tell like you put a lot of thoughts in your run, like aesthetically, so everything is just like symmetrical. Once again, relating to the point of style we were saying earlier. So Iberg, what you were saying about this list, where did I put the list? But there on X Games, there is a profile of Jossi Wells.
Either way, Jossi, you did like fucking 20-some X Games events in like 12 years. And when I broke it down, it was like half pipe, slope style, big air. And I was like, yo, this is nuts. And then you had X Games US, X Games Europe. And then I was like, wow, you did 6 X Games events in 1 year between X Games Europe and X Games US. And then I really broke it down. I'm like, yo, you're making video segments. And then I was thinking about anyone. So at this time, in early 2010s, you were a contest or filmer. You were both. And then started like right Olympic time, there's people that are slope style and half pipe skiers. And you were both. And so like what I want to like congratulate you on too, because like it's pretty crazy that you did all elements of competition. We'd call you a combined skier and freestyle. And then like you were a film skier. Like it's crazy, man. Your results are nuts. Like it's so nuts to think what competition schedule you had. Like, and just to see you go. And that was just X Games. It's fucked up, man. So the big thing is not, it's kind of like in life, who can last the longest, right? And when I see that thing, it's not about like, took you a while to get to the top, but it's like, you're still here after 20 years. That's number one thing of this whole conversation. And then like all the other stuff is like, it's pretty amazing to be able to do all those sports and stay on top, to go to the Olympics, do 2 events, like listen to that shit when they're like, oh, I just came from slopestyle or whatever, to hear Davey Schmidt, GoPro monster and stuff be like, oh man, I love Snow Basin in 2010 when he won slopestyle and did podium or half pipe, and then skied straight from the podium of half pipe winning to slopestyle qualifier and then qualified first. He's like, that was my highlight of Jossi. That was a memory from 12 years ago from a guy who has a million memories. And it was because you did everything that he has that memory. So I don't know. I just want to bring all this up because it's a really big deal for how much shit you went through. And it was normal. Like a lot of guys at the beginning of the sport did it all. But it was not normal in the time period that you did it all. Because there was no one else doing it like you did. And especially making it look as dope as you did. So
Thanks, broski. Means a lot, my man.
Well said, Iberg.
Yeah, that day was
that's all I got.
so
Use
lit.
that on that because I
I
never
remember that.
I can leave it at that with contest because the whole idea is that you keep going, and even the fact like is what you did knuckle huck. So your first one was in 2007. So your first X Games was 2007.
Yeah,
Your last one was 2022 or 21.
21.
14.
21. So point being is I tried to compare you to anyone else. Is like, man, there's no one really comparable in that time period of X Games that they've been present. So, mod.
Thank you, bro. Means a lot.
You know what?
Hell of a
Fuck
ride.
competition, Phil. I got to get on to something bigger because we're at 2 hours. So, you know what? Here's the biggest thing I learned about you, Jossi.
Mhm.
In our sport of twin tip skiing, you are the biggest national hero of any skier in their nation. So I did a little breakdown. I was like, man, I always thought Henrik was pretty big. He's like number 3 overall athlete in Sweden. You know, Sweden's pretty big. But when said and done, I could go around Stockholm and people wouldn't know who Henrik Harlow is. You know, and stuff like this. Then maybe like the next closest maybe is Ilan Gu in China. But she doesn't influence people to like be a skier or like be this person. You and then maybe even Woodsy we put on our list. We're like, wow, Woodsy kind of put the sport on his map. But skiing's not a culture. They ski on turf there. You know, so like when I looked at it, I was like, wow, man, you are the biggest national hero of twin tip skiing of any country that I know of. So I want to make sure you know that. And if you have someone that you think is a bigger national hero than yourself, let me know. Because there isn't one. Like there's no one in Canada, America, France, anything. Like we could go through. I look, man, you have 50 documentaries on everything you do in all of your shit. So I could go down to Auckland or I could go to Queensland and people would know who you are. That's crazy, man. So
Small pond, brother. Small pond.
it's a small one, but so like that's a big deal for our sport, man. Like think about being a national hero of twin tip skiing. So I, like from a guy who lived his life only about that, like that's big, man. That's so big, and like I don't know if you know how big a deal that is. And yes, you can say it's a small country, but yo, your country knows who you are. Do you know how like much Tanner did in the sport of skiing, and his country doesn't know who he is? You know, same with Candide. I go to parts of Paris, no one knows who he is. You know, like it's just I don't know. It's pretty wicked what you accomplished, and for yourself. And I hate nationalistic shit because I think of all of us as global citizens, how we travel and how we meet each other and do stuff. But for the fact that you got to do that for New Zealand and put New Zealand on the map, the highest level, our sport on the map in New Zealand, thank you. That's all I gotta say, man. Because I think you're
Thanks,
the winner.
brother. Thank you, man. I mean, I think like Sam Lee and Frank Wells, creators of Snowpark, like those dudes played a massive role in that because, like, you know, Wanaka and New Zealand became a mecca for like our sports, and without, I mean, you know, it takes a whole tribe, and there's like so many people that have played such like pivotal roles. My role has just always been to like take any opportunity that arises and just apply myself as fully as I can, and like do what you can with what you got at the time. You know what I mean? So just been trying to make it happen.
Well, you did, man, and you didn't waste your abilities. So.
And elegantly as well, with style.
My man.
For real.
What
Nice
else we got
to have you on, brother.
We hit 2 hour mark, and my battery's dying. So now we hit the point where it's just like we got a rapid fire. You know,
Rapid fire?
rapid fire, just shit. We never made any of those questions, did we? But
Hell yeah, I got some for you. You ready for this, Jossi?
Let's hit it.
Favorite ski video?
Happy Days.
Favorite ski part?
It's a tie between Pep 1242 and Tanner 1242.
Ooh. Favorite trick you ever filmed?
Whoa. Dude, that massive wall ride that Simon and I hit in St. Anton, the 180 off, probably most hyped on that.
What movie is that? An X? What Poor Boys movie is that?
That one. That one was for what was before Reasons.
I was just gonna guess Reasons.
Or maybe it was Reasons. Yeah, it was Reasons. And then Every Day's a Saturday was after Reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Reasons.
Damn. Yeah, I was wanting to watch that part. That's like the footage I couldn't find. There was some bits and pieces in your Atomic 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now 22 years with Atomic. That's like the biggest loyal relationship in skiing probably to exist in life. Big up on that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. They're like family. It's sick. So cool.
Incredible. Favorite snow park?
Ooh.
Slow motion.
Probably Keystone in the heyday.
Oh, big choice for sure.
Yeah.
And last but not least, this is not a part of rapid fire, so you may take all the time you wish for it. So, who would you like to give flowers to?
Oh man. First off, I'm going to give flowers to both of you two because it's going on for 2 hours about myself, but to be honest, like the impact that you two have both made on the sport individually is insane. And I love what you guys are doing with this. I think it's sick. I think it's needed. It's great to see, people from the community seeing all these old clips coming out again and stuff is like super cool. They're really healthy for the industry, I think. So thank you, boys.
Yeah, man.
Flowers to Bruce and Stacey Wells and all the broskies. Within the sport itself, I'm going to give bouquets to Tanner Hall, Mikhail Dushno, Candide Thobex, TJ Schiller, Simon Dumont, Sammy Carlson, Henrik, Bobby Brown, Gus Camworthy. Dude, how are we going to stop? I'm just going to keep going.
Right, go forever.
Off top, dude. That was a notable list.
How about we go I think some of these new kids, like the homie Edward. It was sick to meet him down here this year, and he won the JWI. Amazing to hang with him after and go film some clips out in the backcountry with Bo and Jackson and him. Noah, that dude skiing is so cool, such a cool guy. Valentine, I mean, basically the whole Harlow squad is super rad. So I love. It's cool to see the future so healthy. You know what I mean? So flowers to those guys. I mean, it is could go on forever.
That was
flowers. Big bouquet to Max Hill. Big inspiration.
Hell yeah, for real, man. There's very few authentic people as Max is, and his present was pretty short, but quality over quantity. His shit was always felt to the fullest.
Mm-hmm. Big time. That was so fun when we were out at B&E 216. Man, I had so much fun. We were just I mean, everyone there. That was like such a cool event. That one, like, to have everyone have completely different styles.
Everyone.
Right, completely different, but everybody with like the same exact mindset approaching it. You know, it's so sick.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I was spectating that year, and I was just like very envious to seeing you guys ski, but at the same time, very pleased by watching what I was seeing.
Bring it back, brother.
Won't be any invitational. Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
let's go.
Hell yeah, Jossi. It's an honor to have you on, and also big up because you're a huge inspiration. And videos like you did with Brady and the deviation, what you got going with Torin, is huge. And the part you play and the way you navigated, you transitioned through the skiing was graceful and done with such intent. It's I commend you for it, and I thank you for jumping on to giving flowers with us.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Well, dude, I mean, it means so much coming from you. I mean, I know I've told you a million times, but you've been one of my biggest inspirations ever since we were young. And you know, I was showing when I was telling my wife about the giving flowers thing coming up, and I was like, showed her a bunch of your skiing, and I was like, for your Instagram, watching all these clips, and I sat on my couch like she left the room, and I was there for like freaking 45 minutes, just like watching everyone. Like, dude, the precision is like bro, like so unmatched. And yeah, it just means to hear those words means a lot coming from you, because I'm a big fan, brother. Always inspired.
Thank you so much, bro.
Yeah, my G's.
Much love,
Jossi. I hope I get to see you again in life, man. And it was a pleasure. That was too long, but thank you, man. Appreciate it. Sometime, somewhere, my friend.
Yeah, brother. Good to catch up, boys. Thank you.
So good. Peace.
Awesome, man. Have a good night, Jossi.
Thanks, bros.
Peace.
Yes, sir. Another great one, man.
Man,
how about the style poem he dropped us?
He won. He won with the style. He won. Jossi Wells, man. Fucking big up yourself. That was sick. Man, it gets wickeder every week. That was episode 19. We go on episode 20 next week. Jossi, give thanks, man. Super fun. Super good to see your face. Big up your whole family, man. Big up, like, family makes the dream work, obviously. So, who we got next week?
We setting up someone special. You don't want to leave your kids near this psycho.
Yeah, we know who we try to get. Oh, man.
Rory Silva.
Well, Phil, thank you, man. You have a wonderful night. Thank you, everyone who tuned in to Giving Flowers again, episode 19. Anyone who watched this whole thing of 2 hours, you're crazy. But this is epic. It's locked down. It's recorded, man. Jossi Wells, you a legend. Always know that. Fucking give thanks for what you did, what you've done, what you're doing. We all stoked on it, man. Privileged as a fan. Give thanks, man. Giving flowers.
Peace.
Have a good night, new schoolers. Peace.